KW Elevate. Happy March. We have Spring Forward coming ahead on Sunday. Don't forget to let your clock spring forward, set those alarms. I'm sure ready for the extra sunshine at the end of the day. Welcome to March. We have a packed agenda today. We're going to talk about how to be the market expert, family reunion takeaways, and some updates from the brokers. So let's get started with Rob Quinn.
All right, thank you. Let me share my screen here real quick. Or actually, before I do that, so the big announcement, I guess it's big. So we are actually changing our purchase agreement. So we put a lot of work into it. We've really taken into consideration the feedback that we received regarding what people like, what people don't like about it. So I would like to just share it. So this is, it's not yet complete. We're very close to being complete. And then just keep in mind too, so once we are finished, we will announce training dates and when it will actually go live. So we'll have all that information as soon as it's available. Just know that we're pretty close. And so I will share my screen really quickly so everyone can see. And I'll just go through, just highlighting some of the changes. So there we go. Okay. Allison, can you see this? Okay, perfect. Yep. Okay, so what I want to cover is just a few items spelling out the differences, and this will all be covered in the training, obviously. So I'm looking at my notes here. So one big item right here is line 18. And so this is where instead of on page 2 of our current purchase agreement, when the buyer is asking for a seller paid closing costs or seller concessions, it will go on line 18, which is a big win. Just, I think it's important to have it on the first page with what the purchase price is, so it's plain and everyone can see it. So that's takeaway number 1. Scrolling down regarding the financing, we will see on line 21 and 22, we have a built-in 14-day financing extension. So this is built in. Of course, it could always be, lined out if needed, if the listing agent and seller don't agree to it. However, to have it be built in, especially given the times now, it's really important to have that. All right. One question that I receive quite often is regarding appraisal and what if it doesn't appraise. So in lines 25 and 26, it's stating in the event the property does not appraise for the minimum of the purchase price and the buyer does not agree to pay the difference, the buyer shall notify the seller. So basically we're spelling out if the property does not appraise, what would then happen with them, keeping in mind that we're protecting the buyer if the property does not appraise. Scrolling down on the first page, we added in so TV wall mounts as an option, smart or electronic thermostats, anything smart electronic for controlling HVAC or security, sump pump, wireless and smart doorbells, and then anything else. So it's just becoming more and more common that homes have these, this type of equipment. So we wanted to make sure that we added it. All right. And then one thing you will notice on the first 3 pages is the buyer and seller initialing and dating each page. So that is different than what we have right now. Scrolling down to line 50, this is regarding possession. It's stating all personal property and refuse shall be removed from property by seller before transfer of possession. We'd like to think that that's assumed, but it's not. In many cases, it isn't. So I think it's important, or we believe it's important to have that in there. So you will see for evidence of title, so sometimes the title and the escrow company can be different. However, in most cases, they're the same. So we're actually filling in who the title company is on line 54, and then who the escrow agent will be on line 57. Let's see. So line 66, so our current purchase agreement has this in here, and I get a lot of questions. What is it? The agricultural tax recoupment. And instead of having to check yes or no, or who would be paying for it, we just automatically have it in there. If it's applicable, it's to be paid by the seller at closing. So line 71 is the same regarding water hold, or it's actually water and sewer bills. Okay. So you'll see the buyer initials and date, on the bottoms of the pages 1 through 3. So scrolling down regarding inspections, so we kept it about the same with a general aseptic well, the flow and the potability, radon, pest, wood destroying insects, and then other. And then one item that I think is really important that was added, line 127, it's within 3 days after the completion of the last inspection. Then the ROC needs to be done within 3 days of the completion of the last inspection. So this is important because if your buyer has a radon test being done, it's not until they get the test results back that, the 3 days then, for the ROC to be completed then kick in. So I think that's really important to have in there. Okay. Let's see. This is added in lines 157 and 158, tenant occupied. So if the property is tenant occupied, all rents collected by seller shall be prorated between the parties as of the date of closing, and security deposits and leases are assigned to the buyer. So that's different, that's added in. This is a big change right here, just 168 to 170, to have a spot where if there's anything unique regarding this purchase agreement, that we have it and we can write it in there. We always want to be careful to not try and practice or to be attorneys. However, there are times where it is very helpful to have a space like this. And then lastly, so line 185, dower interest. If individual sellers are married, then the seller's spouse must sign this agreement. So it's just stating that, dower interest and how the spouse needs to sign it. As far as, so what's not in this, so you'll notice there wasn't, well, I went through it pretty quick, but there isn't a section for lead-based paint. Where are we at? For the lead-based paint disclosure. It has the option on that disclosure if an inspection wants to be done or not. So we felt like it doesn't need to be duplicated on the purchase agreement. So that wanted to be there. Secondary offer is not on the purchase agreement. So if you're doing a secondary offer, we will have a separate addendum stating that it is a secondary offer. Let's see. So wire fraud is not in the purchase agreement yet. This will be a new required addendum to be in the file in the purchase agreement. It's that important that it needs its own separate addendum to make sure that it's reviewed with both, with the buyers and with sellers. Let's see. And that's about it regarding the changes. So again, this document does look a lot different than what we currently have. But there will be plenty of training that Bobby and I will do to review this. So again, I think it's a really big win for our brokerage. And then I also wanted to note as well, so I have been working with the attorney to also write a purchase agreement for new construction. We don't really have one right now, and with all the new construction going on, I think it's really important basically to have one. So we will have a new construction agreement that spells out the commission that could be taken care of, basically while you're working with your buyers and the builder. And that is all I have regarding the new purchase agreement.
Anybody have questions for Rob right now?
Hey, Rob, this is Troy Bratz. I was just going to add on, I was just putting this in the comments actually, just regarding those dower interest, we maybe want to, I'm not sure, I haven't glanced at it or paid specific attention to this recently. Does it say somewhere in there on the seller right to sell agreement regarding dower rights and if they're, I've had for whatever reason, run into a situation where people have been separated and they have not they're not including their spouse in that agreement. So we need to end up, I feel like we need to reference that as well.
That's a great point, Troy, and I appreciate that. And yes, that same language should be added to our exclusive right to sell agreement as well. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Yep.
Great question. Anybody else?
Can you go down to the last page again or the second to the last, where it lists out all the addendums? Can you just explain what the lead-based paint and lead-based paint agreement disclosure, what are those two separate documents or what?
So this actually will probably the arrangement disclosure so that's another that's on my list to probably remove, to just have the lead-based paint disclosure.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Very good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple questions in the chat, Rob, as well. I'm not sure if you saw those.
Let's see. I'm gonna stop sharing real quick. Let's see.
Pete Grant wanted to know, is it possible to add generators to the items included in the sale?
So I will discuss that with Bobby. We could see and just understand how applicable that is or isn't. But yeah, I will write that down as well.
And Corinne wanted to know about rent back.
So, I mean, we have a separate addendum for that, regarding, Corinne, are you referring to possession as far as, rent back after, let's see.
She said on longer possession held by seller, rent back.
Yeah. So we have a separate addendum that spells out, renting back after transfer, and they want to keep possession. I saw Stephen asked about the land purchase agreement. We haven't discussed that internally, but once we get through this, if we feel like it needs to be updated, then yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that, Stephen.
I think the one thing I'll say is I think the next thing that we were looking at doing was updating the listing agreement, because we felt like that might need to be addressed. And so then from there, we can look at the vacant land agreement as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, did we end up adding the part about the seller authorizing the Alta to be shared?
Yes, it is on there.
Okay. I'm sorry if I missed it.
So just FYI for anybody who has an Op City deal, they are now demanding a combined Alta statement. So our new contract will help us get that to satisfy their requirements.
So let me show you, Erica. So right here, so line 173, so seller and buyer hereby grant escrow agent permission to provide both listing and selling real estate brokers with an estimated and final HUD settlement statement.
Awesome.
I don't think I see anything else. So again, I mean, we will have plenty of training on this, both Bobby and myself. If we need to do in person, then also Zoom, we'll make ourselves available. So yeah, we're really excited and we feel like the changes are very beneficial for our brokerage.
Awesome. All right, Infinity.
Trying to unmute myself. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Just a quick update on our online earnest money deposit. We have added some terms and conditions that your client has to agree to in order to deposit online. First of all, that the online deposit is only for earnest money. They can't send any closing funds through that porthole. And the limit on that is $10,000. Also, if they do go on there, if the closing is less than 21 days, they do need to contact one of our offices and we will get wiring instructions to them instead, because we have to make sure that the funds have an opportunity to clear. Also, if it happens, the money comes out of their account immediately. So if there happens to be insufficient funds, they will be charged $25. And so those are all things that we have added to our website that they have to agree to before they can go through with the online earnest money deposit. The only other update I have is we are really amping up our social media. So if you don't like us on Instagram or Facebook, shame on you, first of all. But second of all, we're going to be adding a lot of awesome content that will be very helpful to all the agents. So we'd love to see you on there if you aren't already. And thanks for all your support and enjoy the rest of the meeting.
Thanks, Sarah. All right, cross country. I know we have Benny on here. Noah, are you here? Shireen.
Oh, I am.
She's
I am
out.
always here. I'm like Oprah. I'm everywhere. You don't even know. Look at all those beautiful faces, you guys. Oh my gosh, I love that photo. Anyways, hey, thank you guys for an amazing February. Your brokerage, our team here continues to perform and not only just meet expectations, but exceed expectations. We're so excited to be in the Medina office as well. I know Benny has been there quite a bit more as we've grown as a team, which is awesome. So you're seeing his face and of course, seeing my face as regularly as I can. Just to be there to be part of the culture at the brokerage. So a couple quick updates on the mortgage side of things. You know, there's a lot of talk right now that mortgage rates are increasing and that, you know, the world is coming to a screeching halt, yada, 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 yada. I would just say, please take everything with a grain of salt and add some temperance into the conversations you're having with your buyers. Mortgage rates are still historically low, right? Extremely low. And this is going to keep the market strong and the buy side strong. While it may impact refinance business, it still is a very strong market for our purchases, as we know. And truly, rates have not necessarily increased themselves. What is increasing slightly is the cost for those rates. But as a company, we continue to work to manage that to remain competitive and keep our clients, your buyers, at the forefront of what they're able to purchase, the offers they're able to make based on their payments and qualifications and things like that. So again, just take everything you hear with a grain of salt. There's usually a lot of hype, good or bad, when it comes to the rate market. And in this case, you just need to be the calming influence to your clients and refer them to us so that we can talk them through any concerns they may have about rates. So that's really all I had for you today. I just wanted to make sure that we talked about that because it is important. We are excited for the awards ceremony coming up next week, and we will see you all there. Thank you, Allison. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Noah.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, shoot. Okay. I would like to welcome our newest agents to the office. So starting off, we have Karen Masinko, who's sponsored by Jeffrey Adams, Candy Howell, who's sponsored by Cartier Reed, Pam Vogel with Lakeside Chautauqua, sponsored by Mike Incurvaya Jr., Kathy Joy, who is also with Lakeside Chautauqua, sponsored by Mike Incurvaya Jr., Jill O'Neill, the final gal from Lakeside Chautauqua, is also sponsored by Mike Incurvaya Jr. We have Danielle Behan, who's sponsored by Barbara Scroth, who's sponsored by Latricia Bunkowski, Crystal Benko, who's sponsored by Laura Schuler, Nicole Berkey, who's sponsored by Jennifer Music Paul, Ross Hartman, who's sponsored by Nick Bursey, Adrian Hall, who's sponsored by Allison D. Michelle, Christopher Cross, who's part of the NEO team, sponsored by Kimberly Cross, and Holly Gunder, who's sponsored by Diana Ilveski. Thank you all for joining our office. It's been a pleasure meeting you all, and I can't wait to continue to work with you all.
This is so exciting because we know that healthy things grow, and we have grown in January and February by 27 agents, and that is fantastic. So we are growing. So lean into the opportunity to have conversations with co-brokes or people that are outside of the industry that might be a fantastic real estate agent. Plant those seeds today to have potential people in your downline later on. Just have those constant conversations because we are going to continue to grow, and I'm so excited about that. So welcome everybody. We are so grateful to have you here at Elevate.
Hey, Allison, it's Gina with America's Preferred Home Warranty. I just wanted to let everybody know that I was on the call, and I wanted to thank everybody for their business in February. We had a great February, and I wanted to also let everybody know who didn't know on the call, we have a brand new data collection form out where, we've always wrote the appliance names out. Now you can actually do check marks and it's information on the MLS at your fingertips. So your money of $50 is even easier to earn. And I thought I should mention too, Allison, because it is a listing market and homes are just flying in multiples, so important to list with a home warranty because you don't want to leave the risk on the table for all these months before it closes, number one. And number two, you control the price. I've seen agents not list with the home warranty. The buyer negotiates it in for $600 to $700. That's a lot of money versus our $425 value, plus the legal protection the sellers get during time of listing. So I just wanted to thank everybody for their business. Let everybody know that I am available as always, nights and weekends for them. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm so honored to be in partner with our KW Elevate Market Center. And I'm really looking forward to the award ceremony. Had some beautiful surprises next week for people. So looking forward to seeing everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Gina. We switched up the order of events today, so sorry we threw you a curveball. Good to have you, and we're excited for next week also.
Thank you.
February top producers. These are folks that did 3 closings in the month of February and or had $500,000 or more in volume sold. Aaron Boer, Jennifer Deal, Steve Dembowski, Emily Duncan, Jenny Duncan, Kayla Farlow from the Impact Group, Danny and Shannon Fee, Nate Fisher, Jason Hogue, Diana Ilievsky, Mara Collins, Mike Incravaya Jr., Sylvia Incravaya, Morgan Castor, Teresa Klein, Christine Stowell, Bruce Trammell, Lene Lencioni, Mike and Diana Magno, Chris Moscarino, Roger Nair, Stacy Nugent, Sergio Paolucci, Sajid Patel, Jennifer Music Paul, Dominic Picone, Ali Quintilli, Jess Rattray, Cartier Reed, Blaze Rosser and Frank Ruma, Lori Schwartz, Christine Williams, Diane Westlow, and Justin Westlow. Round of applause. Congratulations. And February cappers, dun, 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 you get to enjoy 100% of your commissions. Jason Hogue and Sylvia, we know this is a big part of what draws people to Keller Williams is that you get the opportunity to experience 100% of your commission, and it's doable. It's doable for so many of our agents. It's doable for you. And in this month, it's Jason and Sylvia. So huge congratulations. All right. We have asked Christine Stowell, social media extraordinaire, and she is on the tech committee for ALC to talk about today becoming a market expert and how she does that utilizing technology. So take it away, Christine.
Williams, are you with us?
I was on mute. Look at that, a technology share on mute and didn't even know it. All right, so Erica, do I have the ability to share my screen? All right, so for those agents, and I thought this would be helpful because we are a growing industry and we are a growing market center. You know, how do you present yourself as the person that is the market expert? So I wanted to tie in a little bit of information from Command, which is our amazing gift of technology from KW. And I think it's grossly underutilized. So I wanted to make sure that we have the ability to take the information from the local multiple listing service and move it into Command when it's not readily available, to be able to market yourself as the market expert. So a couple of things to kind of get you to that point. I remember back to the days when I was a new agent, that was 22 years ago. So for any of you on the call that your multiple listing service ID number begins with like a 3 and a 4, I feel you. Like the transition to being a tech savvy command wheeling agent it's going to be a learning curve. For those of you that have a license number that begins with maybe like 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, be kind to us old folks because we're old dogs. We have really cool tricks, but you guys are young dogs and you know how to embrace technology. So today's conversation is a little bit of both. How do you present yourself as the market expert and help your clients interpret the data that's available in the multiple listing service and in Trend Graphics and bring it over to a cool tech savvy way to communicate with today's consumer using Command? So for those of you that are newer, how do you convey that information? How do you position yourself as the market expert? So for any of those on the call that know me, you know that I am chock full of analogies in this world. So I'm going to analogy this conversation quite a bit to help you all figure out how to do this. So I have oh my gosh, she's 17 years old. I have a 17-year-old daughter that's learning how to drive. And for all of us, I assume there was a point in time when we had to learn how to drive. Our parents gave us this vehicle and said, okay, get out on the road and start transporting yourself all over the place. And we're like, okay, I don't even know how to get from here to there. I don't know how to drive a car. I don't know how to get on the highway. I see the signs all the time, but I'm not really sure how to interpret them. So put yourself in that perspective. That is our consumer coming to us, asking us to help them interpret the market that we represent. We are here to be that consultant, that person that helps interpret all of the data. So as we go through this, I'm going to help you kind of navigate being that market expert in that analogy, learning how to drive and learning how to get onto the highway. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use a share screen. So for those of you that are out there in the world, I'm sure you have seen this page before. I am in the multiple listing service and there is the home screen, right? So let's go to stats. For some of us, we've never been to this position or this page on the multiple listing service. For some of us, we've used this quite a bit. So it really determines on what your experience is and how quickly you can navigate this. So I guess I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Think back when you were a really little kid. You know, how did you learn? Well, you learned by playing. And when you were a high school or college age, how did you learn? Well, you learned by experimenting and asking questions. Well, now as a real estate professional, how are you going to learn how to be the market expert? You're going to experiment, you're going to play, you're going to challenge theories, and you're going to learn how to interpret this data and become the market expert. And that's just helping your client, being the consultant that helps your client navigate through this information. So many of us know that we are in a seller's market currently. Well, how do we know that? So if you are going into, I know this personally, you're going to go into Westlake. So what we're going to do is we're on the MLS, we're under the little stats tab here. Let's choose the city of Westlake. So we're going to open up that tab, type in Westlake, and I'm going to tell you the tale of two cities or two markets in the same city. Because one of the things that you want to do as the market expert is to understand that there are different markets in different price points. Right now, everybody's talking about how it's a seller's market, but believe it or not, there are different markets in the same city. And it comes down to price point. So let's take a look at the city of Westlake. And then I want you to take, if anybody else is at home and you want to play around with this, go back and watch this video. But so I played around with this a little bit yesterday. So you can see some of the historical searches that I did. So yesterday I looked between 3 and 500, 300 and below, and then 500 and above in the same city, because it's really, really important that you know the price points that move the market in one direction or the other. So you're going to play around, and then you're going to ask questions, and then you're going to interpret the data. That's how you become that market expert. So we're in the city of Westlake right here. We are looking at homes priced below 300,000. And then these are all of the different ways that you can grab that data. So if we wanted to look and say, well, what's the average days on market and the median list price? So we click on that, we're going to generate the information. It's going to come up, and there's going to be two ways that you can, and I'm getting the spinning wheel of death, so it'll take just a second. But here we go. So I want you to understand, people digest information differently. Some people are visual artists, like many realtors, we're artists. And then we have people that like numbers. So this little tab that's over here, there's a chart, and then there's data. And I want you to know that you can have the same information and be able to present it to two different people in two different ways. So that's what's great about our multiple listing service, because it gives you the ability to interpret the data and present it depending on which way your client digests the information. And again, guys, our job isn't necessarily to decide what the market is. We are here to interpret the market. That's what makes us that resource, that consultant, the local expert. So in the city of Westlake, the average days on market in January, February, and March was 36, 33, and 23. So what does that tell us about the market? It's actually moving more quickly. The houses are not sitting on the market nearly as long. And then let's say, for instance, we wanted to look at the price and inventory trend. So you just come back over here to the left-hand side. You can generate, it's going to give you a quick second. And then again, it's going to show you what the median sales price was for homes in Westlake priced below 300,000. And then it's going to tell you how many listings did we have on the average. So this is going back a couple of years. So January 2016, all the way down to January of 2021 and February of 2021. So again, you're going to take some of that information, and we're starting here because I'm going to show you how to do something really cool in Command. So if you want to go in and play around, there are data results, and then there are charts that will help you see things. And I think charts are really, really cool because, you know, it's like Harold and the Purple Crayon. It's just a great graphic that you can demonstrate to somebody. So you're going to help them understand, what does the green line mean? What does the blue line mean? So the green line is the sales price median from 2016 to 2021. Well, in 2016, in houses in Westlake priced 300 and below. That's at 150, and the average is going up to closer to like 225, you know, ish. So then you can transfer over, go back to the data, and be able to grab those numbers a little bit more definitively. And the reason I show that is because you could take something like this. For any of us that are active on social media, there's this amazing concept called a screen share. You can take your mouse and you can basically grab this image right here, and you can post it for whatever community you want. Any community that you want, anyone that you want to target that information and help them become aware of what's going on. You can take a screenshot and then share this. You just want to know how to interpret the data. So this is basically telling us the sales price median from 2016 to 2021, the sales prices are going up. And interestingly enough, guys, the number of active listings from 2016, January of 2016 to January of 2021 has gone down. So that easiest way to explain it to you, do you guys remember about a year ago when everyone was going through a frenzy to go to Costco and buy a ton of toilet paper? Because all of a sudden we realized that we were going to be stuck at home for a while. Everybody needed to get some more toilet paper. That's the best example of supply and demand. There was more demand. less supply. That's exactly where we're at with the housing inventory. And the more that you can go through this data and make it tangible, make it understandable to your client, that positions you as the market expert. So this is one way that you can do that. And then trend graphics. So I'm going to date myself a little bit, and I'm going to tell you that years ago, about 13, 14 years ago, I belonged to a brokerage that held on to this bit of information like it was the prized gift to all realtors. Only the brokers had information and access to this. I was like, well, why can't we have information? Why can't we have access to that? So for those of us that are here at Keller Williams and may have been at other brokerages, I want you to know that this is an amazing opportunity for you to tap in and, again, make a contribution to your professional development. The content that you can pass on to your clients is available to you because we have a market center that gives us the ability to do so. So this is a website called Trend Graphics. Trend Graphics has a login that is available to us, and I'm sure Erica will be ever so happy that I'm not going to lay this at her feet and ask her to send this to everybody, but she probably will because she's that amazing. So our login is capital S, lowercase w, agent, Southwest agent. And then it's so creative. We have a password of Gary Keller. I love it. So what do we do with this information? This is where it is so wickedly cool. So we'll save that. We can go into Trend Graphics, and again, as we could in the multiple listing service, you can come up with different scenarios, different ideas, different questions that you want to answer. Because the reality is when our client has a need, we have a job, we're employed. When we ask questions, we're going to learn the information and then become that market expert. So you can go into Trend Graphics, and let's say, for instance, we want to look in, I like to look by zip code. So we're going to look in Westlake. 44145, right? We're going to look for single family home, and we're going to look 300,000 and below. And essentially, I just want to kind of show you guys what it looks like in Trend Graphics and what it looks like in the multiple listing service. Some people like to look one place, some people like to look the other. I like to look both places. So it's like looking left and right before you go through an intersection. So we want to look yearly. And let's look 2000, we'll look last 15 years. And, well, wait a second. Let's look, we'll look 15 years. That'll give us a good information. All right, so let's look at show the chart. And the cool thing about Trend Graphics is it gives you cues on how to interpret the data. And that's what I think is amazing. So I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole into this one, but again, so you're looking at the city of Westlake, 300,000 and below, and we're looking just historical data in the last 15 years. So this is going to show us the for sales, the solds, and the average pending, average price per square foot. So anyone that I sit and talk to, whether it's a buyer or a seller, one of the ways we can interpret the data, and this is me doing a little role play with you. So if you are all my buyer or you're my seller, this is me talking to you. So when we look at the price per square foot, guys, one of the things we want to keep in mind is that average is average. So if we were to go to the doctor and he says your temperature is 98.6, we know that, well, relatively speaking, that's where we're supposed to be. So average price per square foot in any community is basically that, an average home. There's nothing too dynamic about it. It's not awful. It's not amazing. It's average. So from there, we can help our clients establish their perspective of value when going into the market. Are they going to be in need of repairs? So maybe their price per square foot is going to be a little bit lower. Or maybe they've done all kinds of maintenance and improvements, so their price per square foot is going to be on the higher side. This just helps us figure out what that baseline is. What's the average? So over the last 15 years, the average price per square foot in the city of Westlake, this is current year versus previous year. So current price per square foot, $124 per square foot. A year ago is $111. So again, that helps us give some interpretation to our clients that price per square foot's going up, asking price and the sales price is going up. So this is another way that you can gain information. And I strongly encourage you, get into Trend Graphics, get into the multiple listing service and play around. Now, remember I was telling you about the tale of two markets in the same city? Let's go back to the multiple listing service. And we're gonna go to customize, and this is the only way I know how to clear this, so bear with me. I'm gonna clear all the data. We're gonna go to presets. Now I'm gonna take this 300 and below, and I'm gonna change it to 500 and above. And this is where it's so interesting, because again, we're talking about one city where price point is going to tell us the difference between the two markets. So one of the coolest things that you'll be able to look for is customize. We're going to do the last 12 months, and we are going to look for months of inventory. So just to kind of recap with everybody, in the multiple listing service, there are presets that are super easy bits of information. Then you can go into customize, just like you can customize any of the other searches. In customize, I wanted to go back and show you guys how to look at a market in the last 12 months to determine what's the inventory, how many months of inventory are on the market. Because as you get a little bit further down the educational path of real estate, one of the things you're going to understand is that there's a balanced market, a buyer's market, and a seller's market. So think of kids sitting on a, what do they call it, as a teeter-totter or seesaw. So in a balanced market, this is what they refer to as about a 6-month supply. When a market is 6 months across the board, that's when they consider it's a balanced market for both buyers and sellers. When the market goes under 6 months, they consider that to be a seller's market. When the market inventory goes above 6 months, they consider that to be a buyer's market. So from this site, I'm going to show you basically, we're looking 500,000 and above in the last 12 months in the city of Westlake. So let's hit that generate button, and we're going to see something kind of interesting, because from April of 2020 to March of 2021, this is the number of months. So if 5, just here, right above 5, if that is the indicator for the difference between a buyer's market and a seller's market, this is telling us that 500 and above in the city of Westlake is a buyer's market. So what do you do with that information? Well, you sit down with the seller and you let them know, I know that probably at New Year's, your nieces and nephews were sitting around and they were telling you that they're in the Hunger Games of real estate, having, fist fights and coming up with all kinds of creative offers because they're in a seller's market and they have to, do all these crazy things. Well, I'm sorry to be the one that's telling you this, but the reality is, guys, that's what they hire us for. They hire us to help them interpret the market that they're about to enter. So going back to that driving analogy, you're going to be a new driver, your mom and dad are sitting with you, you're about to get on the highway. How do you merge into that traffic? Is the traffic moving fast? Is the traffic moving slow? Is it nighttime? Is it daytime? Are there trucks coming up on your left? Do you have a blind spot? Our job as realtors is to sit in that front seat with our client and help them figure out what market are they about to get into. It's like your parents sitting next to you figuring out how to help you decide what's the best way and when do I merge onto the highway. That's our job. That's being a real estate expert, and that is part of what we do for our clients. So let's take a minute and go back here, and we are going to look at the same data. Let's go 300 and below in the city of Westlake. Let's take a look in the last 12 months, and let's look for months of inventory, and let's generate that. Let's look at the difference between one and the other. It is so different. So this one here is showing us that April of last year to today, this chart is less than 6 months supply. This chart, this chart is showing us that, we have considerably less inventory, 300 and below. So the tale of two markets in the same city, that is your job. And this is the best way and the most simplistic way. And then you can go into Trend Graphics and complement your research Do exactly what every high school and college kid does to their parents. Challenge theories, ask questions, play around with the tools that we have, and be grateful that we're in a market center that supports our ability to go and do the research and have these tools without having to go to the broker every single time. And I can't impress that upon you enough, because the first 10 years of my career, my broker didn't give me access to Trend Graphics. The second, 12 years of my career, I have a broker that gives me access to Trend Graphics. And the difference in my ability to consult with a client and show them and help them interpret that market, help them figure out when's the right time to merge onto the highway. Do we need to move quickly? Do we need to move slowly? Exists here. So what do you do with that information? Well, let's jump over into Command. So this is going to be my shameless plug. I am on the tech committee for the ALC, which is the Agent Leadership Council. And I would love, 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 love to have folks join our committee. And if you are interested in being able to come in with a group of like-minded people and make a contribution of how we can use technology to better ourselves, come on over. If you would like to learn with us, because we're all in the same spot, we're all learning about technology and this great tool that we call Command, join us. So there's my shameless plug. Okay, so now that I've taught you a little bit of how to Dougie and do research in the multiple listing service and Trend Graphics on how to grab that information, well, what can we do with it? And now this is something that is all part of Command. So you don't have to pay an extra monthly fee. You don't have to do anything. This is built and designed and available to you, and it's part of your agent costs every month. So for those that didn't know, on the left-hand side of your screen, there is a cool little KW that's red and white. If you tap on that, it's going to tell you what all of these icons mean. So let's go into designs. And we are going to create the most amazing, slick 1-minute video, and it's easier than you think. But before we do that, I want to tell you that there's one key thing that you need to do first. You need to get together with Michael Schmieder. And Michael, I apologize if I just am about to open up the floodgate for you, but you'll love me for that anyway. You want to make sure that you have some information about yourself and about the brokerage in your account, because there's nothing worse than getting to the end of something that Christine or Michael or somebody else teaches you about Command. And then you get there and you're like, well, how do I get my broker information in there? How do I get my agent picture in there? How do I get my, my team logo in there? That's the first. So start where you need to start. Make sure that you have your information in there, okay? And I promise you it'll be well worth it down the road. So we're gonna make a video, and I need to move you guys over this way. There is a plus button in the bottom right-hand corner. You are going to create, so you wanna add a video. Click on video, and honestly, guys, this is like so easy. You'll love it. So let's say, for instance, we want to take that information that we just gathered from Westlake. And so you type in your neighborhood or your community, and some of the neighborhoods are built out, some of the neighborhoods are not. But that's why we went into the multiple listing service first. And that's why I wanted to show you that information first, because if the community doesn't exist here, I don't want you to just throw your hands up and walk away and be like, oh my gosh, I can't even, I can't even. So we have Westlake here. We're going to use that. And then you can name this little video. So yesterday I created Westlake homes under 300,000. And I'm just going to plug in some numbers for the sake of time. So we're going to say that the average home price in home Westlake 300,000 and below is 185,000. And the average price per square foot we'll say was 124. And so based on the information that we looked at, price per square foot is on the rise. Average home prices are on the rise. Number of homes for sale, I think I saw like 33, 30, and 24. So we'll say 28 homes for sale, and the average days on market we'll say was 32. So what do you know about the community that you're in? And again, this is where you can become the market expert. So if you want to make a video like this, make it about a community that you know and know pretty well. So if I were making a video about the city of Lakewood, trendy eats definitely applies. Wine lovers, yep, because they're trendy eaters. Athleisure wear, sure, there's a lot of people that wear, you know, dressy sweats. So we're going to go with those three things. If you know that you're going to be looking at creating a video for Hinckley, and there are a lot of horse lovers out there, you know, let's see if there's any kind of a thing for horse lovers. Yeah, probably not. Oh, coffee culture. Okay, there's a coffee shop, but you can only choose 3. So I forgot to delete one. But the idea is you want to represent what are the interests of that neighborhood. And just a pro tip to give you guys an opportunity to kind of grow. If you are going and doing an open house for an agent that has the listing and you have no listings, one of the cool things that I did when I was a new agent was I created a questionnaire and I asked the sellers if I could see them for like maybe 5 minutes before the open house. And I brought my questionnaire and it was, so when you bought this house, what was the one thing that really made you fall in love with it? What's your favorite pizza shop? Who's the best dry cleaner around? When you go for a walk, where do you go? Just like those little questions, because the reality is, guys, I was a new agent. I had no business, but I wanted to be in business. So I wanted to get the buyers. So this is where you can start gathering information about different communities. Just go do open houses and bring along a questionnaire. And maybe if you can't meet with the sellers in today's times, you could ask the listing agent, could I ask your sellers to fill this information out for me? Because that way, when your prospective buyers come in the house, they're not going to be, the only question you can ask them is, are you pre-qualified and are you working with a realtor? You know, everybody's going to ask you that. So you could ask them little things like, hey, are you aware that the best pizza shop in town is this one over here? And the reason the sellers fell in love with this house is because when they walked in the door, that beautiful bay window that's in the back of the dining room just overlooks the backyard, and they had always wanted that. That makes the house tangible. That gives people the feels. So that's my pro tip on how to get information about different communities. So, all right, let's get back to the video. So the agent information, remember when I told you want to get with Michael and make sure you have the company logo and your agent picture, your information. And I have to keep entering my phone number in here. So I'll have to ask Michael about that. So you want to add your phone number and Market Center brokerage information. There's my team logo, KW Elevate, my license number, broker number. Each office is independently owned and operated, and watch the magic happen. This is so fun. So if I weren't talking and walking you through all of this, I guarantee you guys, you could probably have made that video in about 45 seconds. And then all of a sudden, here comes the magic. So here's the scoop. I don't know how to make that video. I just knew how to go into the multiple listing service and grab the data and plug it into a video. And if you're new, looking to recharge your business, there is no greater place to do that than little things like social media, Instagram, you know, any of those things that might work for you. I basically took that market data for my local community and I created an infographic. I didn't make the video. I created an infographic, and from that infographic, I had 2 phone calls with people that are interested in selling their homes. I didn't tell anybody, I want you to sell your house. I didn't tell anybody that, you know, I need business. It wasn't about me. It was about the market. It was about the situation that we as realtors are experiencing with low inventory. And what does that mean to a homeowner? That means that they could realize this amount of money if their house is approximately this size, and they could get their house sold in about this amount of time. And I just put it out there and said, you know what, if you're giving any consideration, call your favorite realtor. And if you don't have a favorite realtor, how about I be your favorite realtor? And I got 2 phone calls out of that. So it's not always the amount of time that you have been in the market as a realtor. It's just a matter of having the knowledge and knowing how to convey it to a client. And if they're in that situation, if they're at the point where they're thinking they might be ready to sell, that's when you're the expert, because you provided data, real factual data that's not inflated in any way. It's just based on numbers. So if you have any questions, you are always welcome to call me. But otherwise, that's it.
Thank you so much, Christine. That was so, so helpful, especially for people that have never seen it start to finish. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. We have 4 minutes. So we are going to, should we do a video after this? We'll do a couple of quick takeaways from this. There was so much from Family Reunion. We're going to have a couple of sessions that we will replay on our Facebook page because it's going to be tough to dive deep today. But if you did purchase a ticket for Family Reunion, we have access to those recordings until April 12th. So please rewatch. The big topic of today is how to get your buyers' offers accepted, and then also how to find inventory. So we're going to do super, super top line information. The one session that we would recommend watching from Family Reunion is called Win the Competitive Advantage. And so I'm going to go over top takeaways from that session. Okay. So how are you finding sellers in this market? Here are a couple of things to consider. Reverse your inventory. Think about your buyers as your inventory. Talk about your buyers, what their needs are, who they are, and then a lot of sellers will raise their hand when they know who the buyers are. And let them know that they're pre-approved, pre-qualified, all of that. You can target aged expireds, so expireds that have been off the market or expired 6 to 12 months ago. Open houses, you can still do those. Circle prospecting, and these are with your existing listings. You can call 100 people that are nearby, check the do not call list. You can also door knock and get people excited about your listings. You can go through tax records and contact vacant land owners and tell them you've got someone looking to purchase there, or you have a builder to connect them with. And then always expireds. You can always go after expireds. The guy who was speaking about that said, stop by an expired listing on your way home every single day. He still door knocks. That still works for him. When you're talking to your clients, you are there to solve their problem. So be creative. When your clients have a problem, like we know many people can get top dollar for their home in this market, and you still have to help them find a place to go. So we're going to transition to the buyers panel that they had. So the big conversation is when you have a buyer, sit down and have a pre-qualifying appointment with them at the beginning. You have to gauge what their motivation is. Make sure they're a 10 out of 10 and explain all the different pieces of the transaction and how they can best prepare to jump when it's the right listing. No, many people still want to come in 20,000 under list. You can't do that for most things right now. So people, if they've never bought or they haven't bought since 1986, you have to educate them. You are the local economist of choice, and you have to educate them throughout the whole process. Obviously, getting everyone pre-approved to close as quickly as possible, and then just letting them know you'll do whatever it takes. So finding inventory off market by writing letters, finding out where they want to live, and prospecting for them. Let them know that you are there, you're going to get it done better than anybody else. Super top overview here. We will probably put that on our Facebook page to rewatch that later, and we're going to move on. Gina, anything else you wanted to add on your slide?
I think I'm good. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Thanks for having me.
Dan Hodis, are you with us?
Yes, Dan, the insurance man, Hodis here. Okay, good deal. Thanks for checking in, folks. And a follow-up to Christine here and all the listing and representing sellers and buyers and all that. Had a case come up this weekend, and it was involved flood insurance once again. Quoted the home and auto, it looked great. Customer is ready to put the pen to a deal. We found out it was in a flood zone, $3,000 a year for flood insurance. Of course, the realtor asked me, can we get the flood quote down? I said, no, unfortunately, they're set by the government. You can't go from company to company and get a different flood rate. So I can't seem to stress more, folks. There seems to be more and more flood zones cropping up that are requiring insurance by lenders. You know, don't go through all the trials and tribulations when showing a buyer or writing a deal and everything to find out later it's in a flood zone that might require flood insurance. I can certainly help that out and get you through that, get you over the hump there. Hey, we're still going strong, representing and specializing in first-time home buyers. So I'll look forward to hearing from you folks. Thanks again.
Thanks, Dayton. Okay, we're going to wrap up with a couple shout outs about our upcoming events. Next Thursday night, March 18th, we are having our digital awards. And I promise we have some fun things up our sleeves. We have it scheduled for about an hour. Please come. It's going to be fun. Come to support your fellow agents, and we'll keep it exciting. Sometimes we're funny. So that is virtual. Hopefully this is the only time it'll have to be virtual. Next Friday, March 19th, the next morning after the award ceremony from 9 to 4 is the listing clinic with Gene Rivers. We are recruiting to this. It's open to everyone at every production level. It's $15, so it's not too late to register. And he is phenomenal. I think we talked about it at the last meeting. So sign up for that, not too late. And Antoinette Perez, if you are working as a rainmaker or in a capacity where you are training, you might need to brush up on your skills, or you might want to develop that a little bit more. So Train the Trainer coming soon on, where's the date? April 8th. It's a virtual class from 1 to 3. It's $100. And I have never seen her speak, but Erica says she's awesome, so I believe her. So sign up for that, and I think that's it. What all we got? All right, thank you, 12:02. We appreciate your time, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.